All right. Welcome back to another week of Scotch Hour. I am Noah.
And I am Jesse.
All right, Jesse, I think we have another great week ahead of us here. We had our first thing up is our Scotch review, which is going to be the Jura 10.
Yes.
Correct? And then from there, we're going to do our shout outs and our get it togethers. Biden.
And then which category does he fall into? I wonder.
And then we finally go into the restaurant review, which was, I forget the name of the place.
McCarthy's.
In
Aurora, Colorado.
All right. There we go, in Aurora, Colorado.
In the ghetto.
It's not really that much of a ghetto there.
Nah, it's not.
And then we have our Smarter Challenge being the movie review of The Gentleman.
Yes.
Directed by Guy Ritchie.
Yes.
Scotch Reviewed.
The Jura 10-year-old. So this particular Scotch, 40% ABV, and it is from the island of Jura. Now, the island of Jura is just north of the Isle of Isla. And southern, more northern than that is actually the Isle of Skye up above. So it's off the west coast of Scotland, and the island itself faces the Atlantic Ocean on its west, and on its east there are wonderful little bays, little areas where there are sea lions and sea eagles that get to enjoy the weather there. So a little bit rougher on the west, a little bit calmer on the east. To the north there is the Kragenrekker, the tidal pool that is considered pretty dangerous water. So that's just north of the island.
All right. So on the east side there are no baby seals, so we can't go beat up baby seals.
On the east side, there are baby seals, not on the west.
Oh, okay. So if we want to go beat up baby seals, that's where we would go.
Yeah. If you're looking for a new seal jacket, I hear the skin is very warm.
Just joking. We don't harm animals here on Scotch Hour.
Not on the show.
Definitely not on the show.
All right. A few other things about this Scotch. It is aged in American white oak ex-bourbon barrels for the 10-year period, the most of that duration. And then it's finished in, we've got Spanish Oloroso casks to give it a little bit of a sweet taste. And my understanding is, based on what we've seen earlier this evening, as far as on the taste scale, as far as gentle, delicate, or robust, and as far as smoky or more delicate, it's kind of centrally located.
Yeah, that on that chart there that we saw earlier tonight. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to pop open this canister. If you want to share some more factoids about the Jura distillery.
All right. Well, apparently it was established in 1810. I'm assuming that the 200 and some odd people that lived there on the island all disappeared and left, and and it was reborn again in 1963 to bring life back to the island.
That's right.
So it says history of falling into despair, restored in 1884, and again in disuse and dismantled in the 1900s. So therefore, I guess in 1950s, two local estate owners, Robin Fletcher and Tony Riley Smith, they were keen to revive that local economy. And you're telling me some really cool little factoids there. There's only one hotel, one grocery store, two distilleries, one for whiskey, one for gin.
Yeah, it's they call it the Island of One.
One is the magic number.
I mean, maybe.
One road, one shop, one pub, one whiskey, one gin.
That's right.
One woman, maybe? I don't know.
Well, there's 212 inhabitants on the island, people who live on the island. So if there's one woman, it's got to be tough.
Got to be tough. And not like Iceland, right? Where is it Iceland that has more women to men?
Yeah.
Island Jura is 200 people total or something like 200, whatever.
212.
12.
212 residents. Most of them work for, or at least most of them have a family member that works for the distillery as well, the whiskey distillery.
So what you think? Probably what, like a third of them are kids?
I don't know. Like if you think about whiskey, can they get it up?
Maybe not. I don't know.
There may be no kids on this island. This is an interesting bottle, and it is famed to be shaped like this to withstand the harsh waters around the island, the Atlantic, and of course the Kragenrecker that is just north of it, to help this whiskey survive the travels for distribution. It looks almost like it would be held well. So if you're drinking while you're sailing, maybe that's why it's not round. It got a good grip there. But otherwise, I don't know, like the canister itself isn't bad. The copper color, they come in different colors, of course, for the different ages. It's not terrible. But this bottle, it's not my favorite. I kind of like the round bottle or a square bottle. It does feel good in the hand.
I would say I like the round bottles. I think I'm more used to seeing anyways. I don't know. Maybe I don't see how that like saves the bottles more going through or going by that whirlpool.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that one too.
I mean, I think but we had that one from the Lowlands. Like that was a thick glass square bottle. Like I could see that one surviving more so than maybe that.
All right, we're gonna pop this bad boy open. Hey, it's corked well. Every walrus loves a tight seal.
Glug, glug, glug. So you were mentioning something here as you're pouring this one that the distilleries have like a tall neck.
Yeah, so being on an island, they went out of their way. The two brothers in the 50s, before they reopened the distillery in 1963, they went out of their way to bring in some of the tallest the necks on the bottom.
The stills?
Yeah, the stills are some of the tallest in the islands. So I'm sure they're competing with Glenmorangie from the Highlands nonetheless, but they do believe the taller the still, the more pure the spirit.
Well, what animal has a longer neck than the giraffe? Because that's already claimed by Glenmorangie.
I don't know. We're going to have to go to the Marvel universe for that one. Mr. Stretch.
Mr. Stretch. So explain this to me. I think you put here in the notes here that there's brunch time cocktails with Jura whiskey at 1 p.m. BST, and it says Jura whiskey pub lock. What's a pub lock?
Okay, so here's the interesting thing. So one thing that the Jura distillery does is they have their Faisal every year, and in 2021 they've got 2 sessions that'll be on Instagram Live. So what this is an Instagram Live.
So last year.
Yeah, and they'll have one for 2022. But what it is this: they bring in 2 specialists, one for mixed drinks and one that shares the Scotch and beer pairings to really tell you which Scotch would go best with your favorite beer inside of a pub, or which mixed drinks and how to blend them are the best for using with their Jura whiskeys or Scotch.
Okay.
So they're still available on Instagram. Might be worth looking at. Again, back in 2001, the first one, brunch time cocktails, and then the second one, whiskey pub lock-in, which sounds like it could be a fun movie.
It does, doesn't it?
The island itself is 30 miles long, 7 miles wide. We talked the population, 212, the Atlantic on its west, and then serene bays of seals and sea eagles on the east. The Corrie Vrecken, man, it's considered one of the most dangerous waterways in all of the British Navy's path.
All right. So I'm guessing a lot of people wrecked and died there.
I mean, they're still missing. Who knows? I understand water is coming in and creating a whirlpool. It would be a spectacular sight to see, to be on a boat and then just start going in a circle. Maybe that'd be a little frightening, but to see it, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I really would want to ride the whirlpool, but to check it out, that might be kind of cool.
Yeah. Now, on the island itself, Jura and their distillery, their water source is the Pops of Jura. So it's the tallest mountain on the island where when it snows, as that snow or even rainwater makes its way from the top, so if the snow's melting or the rainwater is making its way down the mountain, it finds through creeks and valleys and waterfalls right down to the distillery where they get to use this water and do in fact use this water to make their scotch. And that would just be a fun trip too. I'm not sure you'd want to make it on foot. I'm not sure how much of an elevation change that is. Has to be pretty good if there's snow up top the peak and it's melting and finding its way down through waterfalls and other streams and paths. But that would be amazing to see that journey, just water.
Waterfalls and streams and rivers. Oh my.
Yeah, it's like the 2,000-mile trip of a plastic bag that we sent to recycling and never got recycled. At least we're using this water.
Right. Okay, so I guess it'll be time for us to go ahead and do our notes here. So we'll go ahead and we'll snip it here and come back and share with you guys everything that we have personally discovered for ourselves.
All right. Cheers.
All right, cheers. I'm surprised we haven't tried this one sooner, and it comes from such a tiny little island. Those little 212 worker bees do a really good job over there.
And only a fraction of them work for the distillery, apparently.
Yeah. So
somebody's got to run the one hotel and the one pub and
the one street and be the one janitor. Can you imagine me the one shit guy?
Dude. I mean,
suck.
It might be cool. Could you imagine me in the janitor in the distillery? That could be a cool
man.
job.
If I got to be like toasty, like buzzed the whole time, sure, why not?
That's just it, man. You don't even realize it till you get home, pass out, and wake up the next day. Damn, I cleaned shit all day yesterday. Let's go do it again.
And then go to the gin distillery.
Yeah. I want some gin. I wonder how their gin is. Maybe I have to try that one of these days soon.
Yeah, maybe so. Okay. Any case, to get back on topic here for the scotch, it does have a nice copper gold. I do like the color of it. I like the more like darker, like colors to these scotches. Like the light ones, you know, like there's a lot of great like tasting scotches that are light in color, but to me, I think when I think of a scotch, I want it to be like this nice copper gold or, you know, a little bit of a darker gold color. And so I really do like the color of this scotch here. I think that's probably due to like the aging of it there in the Oloroso sherry casks. Now, as far as the nose goes or the bouquet, my initial. And I think now that I've like gone back and smelled it multiple times, my initial hint was like caramel. But now that I've like gone back and I've kind of like spent a little bit more time with it, I don't think it is caramel. What I did get is I got some orange, dark chocolate, hint of vanilla, and I want to say like a tad bit of tobacco. I'm not exactly sure where I'm picking up the tobacco part from, but it just seems like I never smoked, but my parents smoked, and so occasionally, every once in a while, I would open up their cigarette packs, and like when I was a kid, and
smell.
that initial
I
smell.
love the smell of tobacco.
Oh yeah, like when you first open up a pack of cigarettes, and I don't even smoke, and I hate smoking, but like when you open up those pack of cigarettes, that smell, that tobacco smells really good, and it just seems like on this Jura here, I get like that slight hint of that tobacco that kind of just reminds me of when you open up a fresh pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the palate, I get an initial sweet flavor to it, which might be kind of like maybe it's coming from that orange or maybe the vanilla. But then from there, I get definitely some ginger on the mid palate, along with some toasted almonds, and then that ginger continues to linger going into the to the back part of the palate, where I still get the ginger, but mixed in with a dark chocolate, and it makes for a nice finish.
Yeah.
So overall, I think it's a pretty good bottle of Scotch, and I think it's in a pretty reasonable price point range.
Yeah, like 45 to 52.
Okay, yeah, so that's definitely a good range.
All right. Yeah, for me, I agree. I love this nice, deep copper gold brassy tone that it has. And on the nose, for me, one of the first things I notice is that vanilla and just the teeniest bit of orange, teeniest bit. And it's followed by dark chocolate, pretty much that cocoa scent. On the palate, at first I didn't get it, but as it's had a moment to breathe, I'm getting some of that orange flavor as well. Definitely followed with, and you mentioned ginger in the middle, a little bit of coffee and toasted almonds. And for me, I feel like that comes from those American white casks that it was aged in. But it's a little sweet and creamy. The finish is pretty long. It is rich, not sharp, but rich, not subtle, and it is full of vanilla. And you mentioned that hint of ginger even in the finish gives it a little kick because it's only 40% ABV, so that's not the alcohol giving you that kick, but it's the creamy, not cream, not like cream on your tongue, but that creamy sensation that you get from a truly dark chocolate that it finishes with. To me, it's kind of bitter. It's not super sweet, but I think as they finish the aging process, you mentioned the Oloroso sherry casks, I think you get just enough of that where it's not truly bitter, but you're getting that dark chocolate. You're like 90% cocoa dark chocolate candy bar where you still got a little bit of that creamy flavor, but it's definitely got the rich cocoa.
It definitely does have that creamy chocolate.
Yeah, it's delicious. It is a pretty good one. I am also surprised we haven't tried this before. You know, every time we think, okay, we're up to like 60 scotches plus now on the show, we're going to run out of scotch just to try. And then we go to the liquor store and we're like, damn, we got years ahead of us. This is going to take a minute. And this is a fun treat. It is interesting to learn a little bit more about the history, the geography, even on this 30-mile long, 7-mile wide island, the mountain ranges, the waterfalls, the water source, the journey that this water went on and took upon itself to get to the distillery, at which point they use it to make a pretty good gin in those really tall stills. It's a fun one. Is it my favorite? No. Is it a pretty good one? I could see people, not that I mix a bunch of drinks, but I could see this being a good one, the Jura 10, for a mixed drink if you're going to use a scotch, partially because of the price point. But it is also just a easy drinker.
Yeah, I would say it's an easy drinker, and I could see how one might want to use it for a no, that's just blasphemy. You don't mix scotch. That's single malt scotch.
That's the whole point. Use blended scotches for that.
Exactly. No, but what I would use it for is some cooking.
Ooh.
I think you might get some nice flavors out of that from cooking with that dark chocolate.
Dude, can you imagine possibilities with chocolate chip cookies with a little bit of this?
Ooh, chocolate chip cookie dough with like, oh yeah, that might be.
Oh no, we better make this happen before they do. All right. So yeah, for me, it'd be a fun one. You could definitely take it to poker night, to watch a race with in the morning, in the evening. If you're watching Formula One, you know there are races at 6 o'clock in the morning and midnight, depending on where you are and live in this wide world of ours. So yeah, it's again, easy drink.
It's time for our shout outs.
Oh man, my one shout out is to a group of people, but particularly Max Verstappen, upon the Red Bull racing team, powered by their Red Bull power units, aka Honda engine, doing another phenomenal job in Italy at the Italian Grand Prix this past weekend. Really going for max points, won the sprint race, won the actual Grand Prix, fastest lap, pole position.
Maximum points.
Yeah, he just awesome job, Max Verstappen. Man, what a shout out. You continue to bring excitement and joy to this sport. Because honestly, I thought Leclerc was a shoe-in for this victory. And then seeing what Max and the Red Bull team did strategy-wise, just really a great Grand Prix. It was a fun race to watch. It was a fun weekend to watch.
Yeah, I only got to catch a little bit of it. I was working all weekend, but it seemed like from the parts I captured, it seemed like there was some good racing going on there. And I think in that practice, the first practice or second practice, I think it was Leclerc who looked like he's about to spin out in a corner, and he had a great recovery.
That was a good recovery.
So, like, I shout out there to Leclerc for that. I mean, that was just like some phenomenal driving. And you got to imagine, these guys are like, it's raining outside. They're doing over like somewhere between like 100 something and 200 miles an hour. And for them to go to just recover, that's pretty phenomenal driving right there.
Not all of them recovered well.
Not all of them, but Leclerc did. And that's for that. That wasn't going to be my shout out, but it ended up being a shout out. So great job to Leclerc on that.
I agree.
My true shout out goes to Indian Kitchen 3 there in on the main street of Parker. I went there for I got done teaching early the other day. Saturday, and I went there for like an early dinner. So I got there, I think around 4:30ish or so. Or maybe that was yesterday. I don't know, Saturday or Sunday, whatever. It was this weekend. I went there for an early lunch / dinner, and it was great. I think the service was good. The guy was really prompt. But he wasn't overbearing. You could actually understand him too, so that does help. And the food was really good. They had a really nice dish that I got. I think it was called chicken madras, and it's pretty similar to the masala, but it just has a little bit different seasoning and stuff in there. But great restaurant. I highly recommend going there for anyone who does try it. I will throw in some pictures, and that's my shout out.
All right.
Oh, I guess Get It Togethers?
Yeah, Get It Together.
Oh, I have actually one more shout out. Sorry.
Do it.
This shout out goes to Elon. Good job for buying Twitter and making
nice tweet.
Yeah, nice tweet. And making all the far left liberals go crazy. So shout out to you for that.
That was, if it's truly used to secure and help maintain one of our amendments, freedom of speech, it is not just a great shout out. That is a hero for all of us, even those that don't want to face the fact that now there will be most likely there will be no blocking of people's freedom of just that speech. And it's interesting when we think, and we talked about this at dinner during COVID, there were a lot of things that were blocked because they were untrue or false news, fake news, all these things. And later it came out that that was truth. And I would love to see that just as many people, individuals were penalized personally by the social media or by different agencies for fake news that ended up being real. I would therefore like to see all of these different mediums. So whether it be Facebook or another form who blocked this and penalized these individuals, also in return have to be fined or pay back some retribution for their wrongdoing, because they actually then blocked real news. They actually stopped freedom of speech. They stopped a constitutional right and penalized someone wrongfully.
Yeah, and hopefully he does bring back free speech. And for those people who were a part of the big purge, like I was, hopefully we'll get our Twitter accounts back.
Nice tweet.
Nice tweet.
The other guys. One of my favorite lines.
Pretty bird.
Not Dumb and Dumber. The other guys. All right. So get it togethers.
Get it togethers. All right. I'm gonna say this one's gonna go probably out to the media person for Biden, which is Jen Psaki, or what some people like to call her is Peppermint Patty. They asked her today about like what she thought about Twitter. You could tell that she was very upset about Elon Musk taking over Twitter and the possibility of having a free speech and not having that the ability for the government to go to Twitter and tell them to censor people. So I'm just going to tell her, hey, this is America. We do have a constitutional right of freedom of speech, and therefore get it together.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, my get it together also goes to Biden and his administration. And also all of the news that keeps saying Russia is losing ground in the Ukraine. Russia is not a threat to Ukraine. Russia isn't winning. Russia is losing. Russia is the fail. And then there's the flip side. So Russia's failing. They're not making any ground, apparently, according to some of these news posts. What you can see on certain news channels. One day it's, they took this city, and the next day it's like they lost 2 cities. And but the biggest piece to me is all the congressmen and senators who have come out and said Russia's not a threat. And then yesterday on the treadmill at the gym, I'm reading how Biden is giving $800 million additional dollars to Ukraine to fight a non-threat. We have starving people all over America. We have homeless people all over America. You take every one of these dollars we've given to Ukraine so far that they've used for who really knows what. We don't have an oversight committee to see where these dollars are going. We're just giving them hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. And
that's because Ukraine launders the money and gives it back to the Democratic Party.
Yeah, that's probably true. But the struggle here is, what if you took every one of those dollars and built shelters and food sources and things just to improve our own country? Why are we giving hundreds of billions of dollars, 800 additional apparently this week, to a country that is facing a non-threat?
I think you make a good point there. Why are we just giving financial aid altogether to other countries when we have homeless people here and things that we can take care of with our own people?
Yeah, and a border crisis. Like Biden doesn't want to hear about that one on top of everything else. What are we supposed to do there? It's very interesting just how many fails they've had. And man, Trump did and said some stupid things, but when I look back at his presidency, I don't see these fails, these constant fails left and right. Again, I'm not saying everything the guy did or said was right. The guy said a lot of stupid stuff, but what we don't want to always hear is the truth or a version of it. And at the same time, man, I'd kind of rather get the truth and hear somebody say something that offended me than get a lie or somebody who's just throwing resources away. We are literally
who says stupid things, right, is Biden. Like, he's like, America is the greatest. And then the news is like, oh, that was such a great speech. I mean, at least like the media like went there to go help Biden and stuff. But no, when Trump said something stupid, you can at least understand what Trump said, and then the media bashes Trump. So, hey, the media needs to get it together there. On that one.
No, I agree. And I think that's an interesting piece. Again, I would love for the media who puts out fake news to be penalized like the individuals who went against the main powers.
Totally.
What would that be like? How exciting would that be?
Pretty exciting.
We'd be down to like one news channel within a week.
The other thing here, here's another get it together. CNN.
Oh, dude.
CNN decided that they're going to do an online extra subscription news source, and they failed. Horribly failed. After 3 weeks, they had to cancel their service.
Not only that, but help me understand.
They had
this.
like less than 10,000 subscribers.
Help me understand this. Here's something that is super interesting to me. And man, when we, back before we were born, like 20, 30 years ago, Gulf War, we'll say, CNN had news and videos before our government shared anything with us. They had it live. And we know.
How? Now that you're old enough, you have to ask the question, how did they get it live and how did they get it sooner?
So, but now we take another 20 to 30 years of technological advances and mainstream, and now we have none of that from Ukraine.
No, we don't.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. Maybe it doesn't meet their narrative.
Yeah, probably doesn't meet their need. That's also something that's very interesting. So you think about it from the narrative's perspective. We want to defund the police, yet we just gave another $800 million to fund the Ukrainian police. What? Emotional damage. Like, I'm hurt by this. I literally was personally offended. My tax dollars are going to another country. If you're going to throw away my tax dollars, I don't even want you to do it in a stimulus, by the way, but do something for our country, not your own pockets, if that's what the ultimate thing was. Yeah, that was a nice raise that the politicians gave themselves, 2 months ago. But none of that, just saying, like, let's put it to use and help America.
Get it together.
Get it together.
Restaurant Review.
We went to, again, McCarthy's in Aurora, Colorado, and it is a little Irish pub right on the corner there. I guess that would be the would you say the
Chambers and Smoky?
Yeah, Chambers and Smoky Hill, right down the road from Smoky Hill High School. Interesting, very interesting. We went at the beginning of happy hour. Happy hour currently is
3 to 7.
3 to 7, 7 days a week. I wouldn't say it was the best happy hour. I mean, $3.50 domestic drafts is pretty good. $4 glasses of wine, their house wine, whatever that was, we don't know. Decent, but I'd like to see some appies on there.
Yeah, that would have been nice to see some appies. Yeah, I agree with you. Would have been nice to have some happy hour appetizers.
Yeah. So for myself, man, I mean, for us, we started with their jalapeno poppers, and they came out piping hot with some ranch dressing, question mark.
It's a little runny.
It was a little runny. But with that, they were good. They tasted like they were probably homemade from the restaurant. Not the best, man. The best still right down the road at the Italian joint. Those are, however, a little bit different. They're just the jalapeno with the cream cheese, no breading, and wrapped in prosciutto. I'll take the prosciutto over that any day. Then for the dinner, and again, I went with the Miller High Life, so to speak, for my inexpensive beer. And with that, I had the fish and chips. Fish and chips, again, tasted like it was homemade. The French fries were definitely a homemade style, thick cut French fry. The French fries were great. The fish was good. Overall, I would give the food a 6, and that's only because there are so many better fish and chips out there, especially for like Irish pubs or beer joints, restaurants, and nothing really stood out. Nothing jumped at me. The service, I'm giving it a 5, and average, like not great, not the worst, but nothing stood out. The environment was pretty cool. Not bad. Probably a lot more hopping in an evening, not a Monday night or, at 4 p.m. But it was pretty quiet, not a ton of energy, but not in a bad way. So environment wise, it's getting a 6. Overall 6. Would I take a date there? Man, if it's just along the way, not for the food. Maybe if you just want a beer at the bar and keep on your way, if you're on a hot road trip or something, it'd be fun to stop and just get a cold glass of beer and keep moving on. But otherwise, I'm not going out of my way to take a date there for a meal. They do have live music. They made that very clear. So if there was live music going on, that might be fun to take a date to, listen to a little bit of music. Definitely seems like a more conservative part of town, and the average age of that town member is a little up there. How about your dinner?
All right. So, my dinner, well, first of all, I'll start off with the appetizer. The jalapeno poppers were good. The only thing was that the way they made them, it was kind of like your standard pub fare for that. It tasted all right. However, I kind of thought the jalapenos were slightly bit rubbery.
Condom, damn it.
I think they probably could have been cooked a little bit better, but overall the taste was there, so I liked the taste of them. I did order the beef smothered burrito, and I think their green chili sauce might have tasted really good, but they didn't really put a whole lot on there. It was just like enough to just like do a very light coating from one end of the burrito to the other end of the burrito. And when I talk about like a smothered burrito, I like to have like a lot of green chili on there, so you have like extra that's spilling over into the other parts of the plate, to where you can kind of scoop up some green chili to go along with your burrito.
Yeah.
And I didn't really get that, but from the slight bit of taste I got from the green chili, I think it would have been a pretty good green chili. So if I were to go back, I would be open to trying their green chili fries, because I think the green chili would have tasted well on them. Mm-hmm. The meal itself, obviously there's a lot of other like there's Mexican restaurants all over the place here, and they also have like smothered burritos. So I think there are a lot of other places you can go to get a much better smothered burrito. And like you, I probably would give it a 6. It wasn't a bad burrito, but it wasn't like a great burrito. Like, and kind of something similar to what you said. There's nothing there that really stood out except for one thing, and I'll get to that here in a moment. As far as the atmosphere goes, it was kind of low energy, but the low energy was different than the kind of low energy vibe that we got from Bubba's. Bubba's seemed like it was like kind of a detrimental kind of low energy. This one here, you could tell it was like a neighborhood pub, and it was just like a bunch of locals hanging out. They weren't really there to be all riled up. They're just kind of just there chilling to have their conversations with their buddies and just enjoy the atmosphere there. So like the low energy that they have was just because of the music wasn't really high, but you could just tell everyone was enjoying themselves, which is something different.
It is true.
Than what I really got from Bubba's. And the wait staff, I think they could have been a little bit more on top of it.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that is what she said. But I think they could just been a little bit more on the ball, and they just they didn't come around quite enough. However, they were super friendly people, so I do like how friendly they were. Mm-hmm. And the service, right? They brought us like silverware twice, like once with our appetizers and then once again with our main dish. So I thought that was kind of nice of them to do that. You don't really see like most like middle to low range restaurants doing that. So
definitely a higher class, which was appreciated.
Yeah, I agree. Now, the one thing that kind of bothered me about it, and I probably would not have noticed it until you pointed it out, was the ceiling fans had a shit ton of like of dust hanging off of them.
It wasn't
And,
just a little bit.
like you had like almost like half an inch to inch long, like
Dust mice.
dust mites hanging off of it, and they could have just dropped in someone's food at any point in time. So, with that, I give the environment probably like I mean, if you're there late at night, dark, and watching a band, you probably would never notice these things. So probably I give it like a 6 overall there. I'm just gonna give it a 6 straight across the board. Food, everything, like service, and would I take a first date there? No. Would I meet a friend there? Sure. If I've been dating someone for a while and we're just looking for just like a kind of a pub place to go chill, grab some pub food, and not be blasted out by music, sure. But that's definitely not like a place I would go to take a date.
I think it'd be fun to go in the summer when the fans are going with one of those cans of air, and just when no one's looking, shoot up there and give it some extra air. Poof.
No. Because that might all like backfire and land on you.
Hey, I'm okay with that. It would be worth it because there was so much dust, it would land on everyone. It wouldn't just be me.
You don't know how long that dust has been up
Plus,
there.
you got to make sure the fan's going the right way. So when you hit it with the air, it goes up and out. You just stay under the fan. Safe zone.
Smarter Challenges.
A quick study and analysis of The Gentleman, Guy Ritchie's 2019 comedy action movie about a marijuana kingpin. Matthew McConaughey stars as a Michael or Mickey Pearson, and he decides, hey, I've had enough. I'm worth my millions, hundreds of millions. I'm ready to retire. And as he puts it, start to live the good life, maybe have some cubs. And with that, he starts this whole chain reaction of deception and blackmail and schemes that are all trying to undermine him so that everyone wants his business over there. All the people, all the power players, they want the business. They just don't want to pay the $400 million for it. And it makes for a great
bastards.
Yeah, god damn it, it's only $400 million. Biden gave twice that away to Ukraine. Doesn't even know what it's going for. Come on. It's like, let's get it together. So with this, though, we've got a ton of money being thrown around, and Matthew McConaughey plays his role, Mickey Pearson, Michael Pearson, flawlessly. It was a fun movie. I love the relationships in it. But as we go in there, Guy Ritchie does his thing. And Guy Ritchie, you've met her. The first person who ever introduced me to understanding Guy Ritchie films was Marissa. And with that, it was very interesting because back then we're talking about movies like Snatch. And just,
Snatch.
It's almost, I don't know, it might even be better than The Gentleman. I don't know. That's a tough one. The Gentleman's pretty damn good.
Gentleman's really good, but I would say the Snatch is still probably my favorite.
He meant Snatch, not The Snatch.
Yeah, well, both. Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two
You want to watch a movie or?
Why not both?
There you go.
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels I liked a lot too.
Again.
What? I said that one right.
Two Smoking Barrels, man. Woo-sa. Speaking of which, where was Will Smith's woo-sa when he went and slapped Chris Rock? That would have been priceless.
Right?
Woo-sa. So with that, we'll get back to the smarter challenge here. What did you think of the movie? I know we've both seen it previously. We rewatched it for this episode. What do you think?
Well, here's what I'm going to start off first with Guy Ritchie. I enjoy his movies. Like, his movies are very different than a lot of other types of movies. I think it has a lot of great dialogue. I love how he kind of builds the storyline. It doesn't always go just from A to B, kind of like starts off somewhere in the middle or kind of like near the end and then kind of does a recap type of thing. And I just love like how he builds the relationship between the characters.
Yes.
The dialogue between the characters, which is something like Quentin Tarantino does a really good job with the dialogue with the characters. So I think both of those directors have that kind of similar things going on there. But really with some of like his like Rock Roller, the King Arthur one that he did, this one here, The Gentleman, the Snatch.
Sherlock Holmes that he did.
Sherlock Holmes. I wanted to make sure I didn't say The Snatch this time. And then Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. They're just like really kind of like fun and entertaining movies, and I think he does a really good job, even though it may not be like to the critics pleasing. They don't usually get like a lot of his movies don't always get like really high ratings, but I think he does an awesome job with them.
A lot of his movies, to that point, you mentioned the critics, and I think some of that's even the fans. A lot of people don't necessarily appreciate his movies because he touches on real life subjects, things people don't want to face. Let's face it, how many marijuana kingpins are out there? And his movie was just kind of beat him by a few years. Really launched as this American anti-socialite is trying to get out of the business in England. Yeah, it's a good point because most people don't want to face this reality.
Yeah. But I did enjoy the movie. There's a lot of really fun parts, a lot of funny parts in there, things that you find that, like even like just like little tiny like jokes here and there. And the actors all did a great job.
Yes. And you mentioned one of my favorite things about Guy Ritchie films, which is he builds relationships between characters, some of them positive relationships, some of them negative relationships, some people trying to use others. But in the essence, he really shows this interconnection between all walks and makes of life and how they can impact each other knowingly or unknowingly. Really make big world changes in these other people's lives. And with that, he had a star-studded cast here. We can't forget, Matthew McConaughey is great. I didn't even take this guy serious until I saw him in True Detective. And then ever since then, he's literally revisiting his movies. He's dynamic. And I have a true appreciation, not just for his serious movies, but even his rom-coms, knowing now how broad his spectrum and his ability is. Then you have Colin Farrell as Coach. Man, Colin Farrell did an amazing job.
Yes, he did.
He was a superstar, great in there. And really the piece there, some of the scenes are his students, if you will, his boxers, go and rob one of Mickey Pearson, so Matthew McConaughey's pot shops. Really not a pot shop, but growing area. Geniusly hidden from sight in plain view, if you will, as far as an entrance to the lair. But they go and they rob one, not knowing the impact it would have. So then Colin Farrell, again, this great character as Coach, goes through to try to make it right. And you literally see him counting the correction of the strike. So it was one out, their mistake, and he counts backwards the strikes, and he even gives a fourth one and ends up saving Matthew McConaughey's right hand's life at one point. And it was just great.
So that being said, who's your favorite character?
This is tough because there are so many great characters. And you mentioned how Guy Ritchie does this, and he does right down to Bunny. Bunny's one of my favorite characters. He's not my favorite character, but he is great.
So when I was talking about even like the littlest things, That's what's great because like I was gonna say like Bunny is one of like probably like my runner up to be my favorite character because I just love how he just stands there and he's like coming in.
Yeah. He's sitting there. He is the muscle. And he is a big guy. And they lean on him when they need a big guy. And to that point, yeah, in one scene, they're going to rescue a girl. And in this scene, Bunny's sitting there against the wall, leaning against the wall, reading the paper, the Post. And all of a sudden, they're like, all right, we need Bunny to go help the girl get her stuff. And that's when he's like, puts it down, folds it up, very mature, very classy, coming in with a great big smile. And he's always like super happy. Sorry about that, man.
Or at the end, right? At the end when he's like, has to go take that guy into the
cooler, ice box.
Yeah, the ice box. He's like, coming in.
Coming in. It is great. And with that, man, I do have to say Matthew McConaughey does play my favorite character. And that's a tough one because Jeremy Strong did an amazing job as well. And there's just so many great actors and actresses in this movie. But it does go to Matthew McConaughey because I thought he did a phenomenal job playing a role pretty dynamically, playing exactly his part of a kingpin who's not really a bad guy. And at one point, he actually goes out of his way to talk to another character. And it is this thing where, you know, his poison isn't that. His drug of choice, being marijuana, doesn't destroy lives. And this other person's, being heroin, is a life destroyer. And that's real.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because this is one of the things where Guy Ritchie does a great job when he directs it. And in this scene, he directed, he produced, he did all of this. And with that, though, he does this great job of blending right and wrong. And at the time, in most areas, marijuana very illegal, hence the reason it's all hidden, it's underground, literally, and it is not something that is out there. But Guy Ritchie puts it in a movie, and he really makes people who are intelligent enough and willing enough to open their eyes and be like, yeah, like, this isn't a life destroyer. This is really, if anything, much like alcohol. It's not much different. It is.
I'd say alcohol is probably more of a life destroyer than marijuana.
I would actually agree based on science.
And here we review Scotch.
This is the new science, Noah. This is good for you.
This is good. Oh, okay.
Thank you, Biden.
Science has changed. Science has changed.
So, yeah, he's got. Can you believe the guy was going to go around giving out people's crack pipes? Oh, my God. Unbelievable. Anyhow, life destroyer. With that, it's really interesting. And Matthew McConaughey's character does a great job with all of his relationships, whether it's his foes or his friends or his wife. He does this great job being good at life. And I love his character. And there are many parts, many scenes that he does a great job, and many ways, terms, phrases where, you know, he looks at his wife, and I love the way he says it a couple times during the movie. Any chance? And she lets him know one way or another right away. But that's one of those things with relationships. He understands his wife wants to be in control, and he's okay with that piece.
Yeah. That's a good character. That's not going to be my favorite character.
All right. What's your favorite character?
My favorite character is going to be Raymond Smith.
Okay.
His right-hand man.
Dude, Raymond Smith is a tough one. I agree with that. And again, perfectly cast.
Perfectly cast by, was it Charlie Hunnam? Is that how you say his name?
I believe so.
So, for those of you guys if I mispronounce it, that's the guy who is like the main character in the Sons of Anarchy. And he was also in Pacific Rim and some other movies. Any case, yeah, I think I liked his character a little bit more because I liked how he, just like McConaughey, I think he showed the same kind of smarts as McConaughey did. But I think what really like stole the show for me is when he like, I don't want to go to that place. I don't want to go to like that's like the slum area. Can you just get someone else to go there?
And Matthew McConaughey is you're going to.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey is like, you got to go there. You're my best guy. I want you to get this done right. And so he's like, all right. And then
It goes wrong like he knew it would.
yeah, it goes just like he thought it would. And then this is where this is what I liked most about it, is how he handled the situation in the room with the girl and her friends. And then then he tells like the guys like, all right, show them the word for a minute or whatever, and then come down. But then like the guy falls, right? The guy gets like knocked over and pushed over and falls out of the window and like splats. And then they have to go run around and capture these kids and stuff. And you see him running around. And he's like, here, I'm trying to buy your phone from you.
For
Just
£5.
Yeah, for
5,000 quid.
Yeah, for 5,000 quid. And he's like, just give me the phone. I'm trying to buy it from you. I'm not going to like steal it from you. I don't want to I want to fight with you. Just give me the damn phone. Right. And the kid's like, no. So he's like, all right, fine. Fuck it. And he just like pulls out the gun. And he goes like, starts spraying it. And you can see him like huffing and puffing all, from like running before. And he's just like, all right, screw this. I'm done fucking around now. And so I just like how he handled that situation. And then there's that other one where the guy was like, I forget what happens, but he jumps over the fence. Oh, and it was Fook. Yeah.
Phuc. Fook me.
Where Fook jumps out of the
trunk, runs over the fence,
and then falls into and gets hit by the train. And then Matthew McConaughey goes, what's happening with you? Do we have to get you parachutes?
But he's like cool about it at the same time. Yeah. It's a good line.
Yeah, it was. And he's doing his best. Like, he didn't expect the guy to go running and then like fall over the fence and get hit by a train or anything like that. So I thought his character was really good. I think a really close runner up for me was Colin Farrell as Coach.
Coach was cool. Man. Yeah. Charlie Hunnam. I think what I really respected most about his character in the movie was the guy's house.
Oh, his house
that Barbie.
Awesome.
Barbecue.
Yeah, that's the other part I liked about his character.
Just cool. Oh my goodness, I want that.
Like that smokeless barbecue that he had, and then he obviously had great scotch, which I'm surprised you didn't decorate the back.
40, yeah.
You didn't put it in the background, bro.
That's all right. It'll come back. The best of Guy Ritchie. We know this.
But yeah, I think you like his house and drinking the scotch, and then he's always like, "Hey, take your shoes off when you go to the room." And I also like how smart he was to kind of play out Hugh Grant's character.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And what Noah's talking about with the Glenfarclas 40 is a 1,500-pound bottle of scotch, of which one is owned in this home.
Yeah.
In the Scotch Vault.
In the Scotch Vault. So what was your favorite scene?
Oh,
I mean, man. I know we talked about a bunch of different scenes, but which one's your favorite?
One of my favorite scenes is absolutely towards the end when Mickey Pearson is getting his pound of flesh. And you mentioned this too about Bunny coming in. So after Mickey Pearson has been done wrong and tried to be swindled and schemed out of hundreds of millions of dollars by the little French bastard, I'm just going to go, is he lets the guy know, hey, I know you are the one who's been pulling all these strings, scheming against me. You're saying you didn't meet Dry Eye or the other guys who have tried to kill him as well. And some very adult scenes in there. What Dry Eye does, I'm glad Dry Eye dies. Like, that is absolutely a crime punishable by death in my mind. When Matthew McConaughey takes out Dry Eye, loved it. I absolutely loved it. And Dry Eye was trying to rape his wife. And I think that is a crime punishable by death. I think Matthew McConaughey did exactly what was right. And then one of the things I love about his character is after he kills this guy, he's like, how's it going, babe? How you doing? It's totally cool. As far as what else can you do, but risked his life, loved his wife. And when he finds out that this schemer, Lord or whatever he was, the billionaire that was trying to buy his business for 120 million as opposed to 400 million had done, he goes and shows him, hey, I know you're the one who tried to get Dry Eye involved and knew Dry Eye and used these people against me. I know you're the one who told him where my pot growth plant was that got robbed. I know you're the one that pulled all these strings. So not only am I not going to sell the business to you now, I'm going to keep the business, but you're going to still pay me the damage you've done, which I believe he said was 320 million.
Something like that.
Yeah, so 320 million. And he's like, so here's what you got. You're going to go walk into this freezer and Bunny's going to go with you. And not only do I want my 320 million that you just said you cost me, that I have lost in value, but I want a pound of flesh for the real life challenge, the struggle you brought upon my wife. And you don't come out of there until I've got my money and my pound of flesh. And Bunny is going to make sure that it happens.
Not a gram less, not a penny less.
Yes, yeah. And it's so well done.
Coming in.
Yeah, coming in. It's great. Really, that's one of my favorite scenes. The interesting piece is my third favorite scene, those being two of them, is when he goes after the Chinese man whose son, so Dry Eye's uncle, basically, or nephew, Dry Eye's the nephew of this man. He goes after him, the heroin seller, and he poisons him in his own kitchen, with food from his own kitchen, lets him know, man, you need to like stay back and stay away from this. Most of the best scenes in this movie are not the happy-go-lucky ones. They're not the loving ones, the romantic ones. They're the real-life ones, the ones where, whether you're a Michael Jordan, a Michael Schumacher, a Kobe Bryant, you fell and you had to get back up quickly, and then you persevered. And those are the scenes I absolutely love about Guy Ritchie films.
So my favorite one happens to be the one with McConaughey and the uncle.
Okay.
So he's like, if I can get to you in your kitchen, I can get to you anywhere.
Yep.
So that's probably like my favorite scene because it just shows like he still, like, even though he's trying to get out of the business, he still shows that he is very capable. And I think it just shows like how great of his character is, or his, that person is supposed to be. And I really liked it. I thought it was very, he tried to be polite about it. Like, he could have just, if you poisoned him, he could have killed that guy and stuff like that. But he went there to make a point. And I think he did a very good job with that. My second favorite scene, though, is actually with Colin Farrell and his boxing boys when they kidnap the guy. And,
oh, dude, the pig.
And they make the guy, like, I don't know what they did with the pig.
It was bad enough to make the guy scream.
But it's bad enough
like
to make bad enough to make the guy scream. But really the part that really makes that scene really primo is when when Colin Farrell is showing it to Raymond.
Good Lord. I was there and I'm still shocked. Is that who I think it is? Yeah, certainly is. And that's your doing. You can't unsee it once you've seen it, can you? No, you can't unsee it. It's nightmare fuel. That'll be with me forever. Yeah, the story won't be running.
And Raymond's like, you can't unsee what you just
really can't unsee that, can you?
And then Colin Farrell's like, no, and I was there. You cannot unsee this. That's for the part of the scene where he talks about the guy having a long night with the pig, to when he's like, yeah, I was there. Yeah, you can't unsee it. No.
Yeah, brilliant though. But again, it's not like this is a cool scene. He got the date for the prom. This is a what?
So that scene, like, I just found it's like super hilarious of how they're just like, yeah, you just can't unsee that. No, you can't. And I was there, and I still can't unsee it.
Yeah, some things you can't unsee.
And like just the way Colin Farrell does it all too, because at the beginning he's like, you
He's
know,
like twitching.
because like right before he like they're in the van, he's like, due to some circumstances or whatever, I found myself now in the film industry.
Yeah.
So you see this laptop here before you. You got to hit the space bar, and you will see your part in this film.
Yeah.
And you can tell the whole time, like Colin Farrell's like his character is uneasy about all of this.
Yeah.
And he's like, you might want to have some tea.
Yeah.
It might make you feel better.
Not sure if you want coffee or tea. I got them both for you. That's how bad this is.
That scene was like I just cracked up throughout that whole scene because it's so bad that it's funny.
It is bad. But to that point as well. So at that point, we've got the publisher of all the news he wants, but nothing else. He's got a problem with Mickey Pearson, Matthew McConaughey's character. And so he's intentionally going after Mickey Pearson. But again, this is part of this brilliant spider web of character relationships that Guy Ritchie does in his films, where he connects the coach to Mickey Pearson, but indirectly, it's really through Raymond Smith, who I really does a great job. I agree with you. Like, that's a tough call. I think if anything out of the two, Matthew McConaughey just dressed a little bit sharper and was a little bit classier of an individual and definitely more powerful. But Charlie Hunnam was definitely the more loyal, physical. He's the guy you want as a best friend or a right hand. Absolutely. I don't care what business you're in. He's the guy you want.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it was a fun movie.
It is a fun movie. Thank you for going on this journey of revisiting this movie. It's definitely one of the movies where I can watch it easily once a month and never get tired of it. It's like Casino Royale for me. It's like Snatch for me, another Guy Ritchie film, like the Sherlock movies, also Guy Ritchie films, the first and second with Robert Downey Jr. He's done a great job bringing light out of dark.
I would agree with that. I think that's a good enough close right there on that one. All right. I'm going to just do a real quick other get it together. I thought about this one and I meant to say it earlier. I'm going to do a get it together for me. I was supposed to write 5 letters and I have yet to do it. So Noah, get it together.
I wrote 8 and I haven't gotten any of them back yet, but that's snail mail. There's a reason we call it snail mail. It's part of the experience to see what it feels like, how it does suck, knowing that it takes a week potentially each way for a letter to get going anywhere and get it back. What is it like waiting?
Yeah, and not that it's a total excuse, but to my defense, I think my mind's been not preoccupied with some other stuff.
Yeah, you've got a lot going on. I fully understand. We actually talked about tax season screwing me up every year.
So I think come tomorrow, that all that stuff that was kind of bogging me down. And I'm not saying bogging me down in a bad way, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Just keeping my mind preoccupied on some other stuff. I think it'll free up some bandwidth for me to actually be able to sit down and write those letters and stuff after Tuesday afternoon.
Nice.
So yeah, I just want to get it together real quick. I gotta hold myself accountable. So, real quickly, what is our next?
Are you going big?
Yeah, that's the only one I got. So,
I mean, we can go for one of the others.
Nah, we can go with that.
All right. Do you want to introduce?
Oh, you can. You're the Scotch guy.
Oh man, so this delicious treat. And I'm only saying that based on previous experience of other scotches from this house, is the Talisker double matured in Omaroso cask wood, the Distiller's Edition. So this is a little bit different as far as it's another island. It's not Isla. It's not Jura. This is from the Isle of Skye.
Isle of Skye. And, unfortunately, it's not the 10, which is from the James Bond, but I'm sure he would drink it.
Yeah, and the 10 was good, but this could be better. It honestly could be better.
It could be better. All right, so I've been trying to think about what our next week topic should be. And like I know you and I talked about this a little bit. One of the ideas was to watch a movie and about friendship or whatever, and kind of like whatever movie you want to pick about friendship, and then just kind of say how that would relate to our friendship. The other idea was to do a war gaming about if we were going to take over the world, how would we go about doing that, even if it could take like possible multiple generations. So I am actually going to go with the more fun one.
I mean, here's a thought, not intentionally interrupting you, because you did bring these both to my attention. But what if, along with the more fun one, there is just 5 minutes in each of the next 4 episodes where you talk about if each episode, those 5 minutes is your course of action over 1 year. What would you do in 4 years? I don't know, pretending you're Biden and trying to ruin America. He's just doing it. He might not even be trying, but pretend you're Biden trying to ruin America. If that's your world plot to take over the world, maybe that's one way to go. You could do both.
I don't know. I think it'd be better to act like we're just doing it in a war game and like kind of like having like chess pieces up or something.
All right. I was going to say, because, like you could be like Biden one week, I'm going to give $800 million to Ukraine. That'll hurt. Hey, shut down the pipeline. No, not theirs, ours. That'll hurt.
I mean, that's one way to destroy the country, not take over the world. I think if you are going to take over the world, you would have to get rid of the Americans first. So that's probably a designed
America. These colors don't run.
So I'm gonna go with the more fun one. Just pick a film that has to do with friendship and kind of explain why does that mean? Why does that hold true for our friendship?
All right.
So I think that could be fun. It could be any movie. And it could be serious, it could be funny, it could be a comedy, however you want to look at it.
All right, sounds good.
All right. And anything you want to say to the people before we get going?
Just remember, drink responsibly. Life is great. Thank you for watching. Please continue to like, share, subscribe to our show. Let us know how to improve, how to continue to make you want to watch the show. What are some of those topics that you're like, I want to see these two clowns or geniuses, whatever you may perceive us as, chit and chat about. So let us know some of those options, and we'll get back.
All right. So that's great. I'm going to say thank you to all the listeners and all the people who watch our podcast. A big shout out to our Podbean, Spotify, Google Podcasts, those people who listen to us on the Audible sense. You guys have made this month our biggest month so far for audio listeners. So thank you very much. We greatly appreciate that. Also with the YouTube, thank you again for all those people who subscribed on there and watch us on YouTube. You guys are making this also another great month for us. And for Rumble, this is also another good month here for us on Rumble. So thank you for those of you who've been watching us on Rumble. Like Jesse said, please, let us know what you guys would like, what you like about us, and also leave some comments about any kind of topics you want us to talk about. And hopefully you have a wonderful week. If you do want to become a patron, we do our patron stuff through Podbean. So Podbean Patron, it's going to be in the first link down below, and you can be a member for a minimum of $1 a month, and all that goes back into our podcast. And with that, as Jesse so kindly reminded us, drink responsibly. Cheers to all of you, and cheers.
Cheers.
We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a patron member, with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.